Okay, I think it's working. I think I have this thing down. I'm going to assume it's working and everyone can hear me. And I will try to keep an eye on the chat in case you can't hear me or in case you want to interact during the pre-wind. But welcome back. It's week 3 of the fantasy football season. All my fantasy foot boys and girls. But what we're going to do first, as we do every week, as we do every pre-wind, we're going to look back at the prior week, which was week 2, which I have pulled up here. As you can see, I'm well prepared. But let's start with the downfall of Doobie Ashtray. Everyone's really sad to see it. They get spanked, per usual, by Life Finds Elway. Isaiah Pacheco goes down. Travis Kelce needs to probably retire. He was forced to start Kyle Pitts. He loses A.J. Brown. Just really in a bit of a free fall for Doobie Ashtray. He was the Rookie of the Year 2 years ago. Won that championship. Look at where he is now. Truly sad to see. 0-2. So big matchup for him this week. Needs to try to bounce back and get a win. Lightning fast Google Fiber internet here. It probably doesn't help that I'm running all of this on one 8-year-old computer. Next we're going to look at, let's go to, oh Jesus Christ. I clicked an ad. This is going swimmingly. A bit of an input delay here. I'm gonna let things load before I click anything. But I'm gonna look at Schmidt Show and Timken Terrors. Timken Terrors, another one. They were off to a bad start last year. Had the highest scoring team in the league last year, and still missed the playoffs. Not a great start this year. And this week, it was their fault. Only 88 points. It wasn't a case of the 2023 Timken Terrors in which they scored a lot of points and then also had a lot of points scored against them. Schmidt Show, another strong outing, balanced effort from their roster, as you can see. Chris Godwin, nice pickup thus far. And he's now experiencing what I experienced last year, which was the Jared Goff experience, which is not a fun one. To rely on Jared Goff every week, it sucks. New and improved Jungle Humpers moves to 2-0. Another solid start from them. They send Robo Pearson to an all too familiar 0-2. A paltry performance by them. Rashad White got injured in that game, I believe. James Conner doing the heavy lifting on this roster. George Pickens got shut down by Patrick Surtain. And Justin Jefferson had an injury scare, but sounds like he's going to be okay. He had that one big play, which essentially set up his week as a wide receiver 1. And then Devon Achane, workhorse on that team. It was a question mark as to whether Achane was going to be able to take on a bigger workload and stay healthy. So far, he's still alive. Next up, we're going to look at Patty Cakes and Drunk Santa, which I'll also point out my regrets of the week in this situation. Patty Cakes, I had said last week, one of the keys to their game would be Jamison Williams, which he wouldn't necessarily have won him the week. When you're having to start Hayden Hurst at tight end, you're not going to win a lot of games. But not starting him over Jameis or Terry McLaurin, Michael Pittman. My pre-credits of the week are Jamison Williams and Calvin Ridley. Calvin Ridley would have been a nice pickup this year for anyone, and there he is sitting on Patty Cake's bench. Drunk Santa, 2-0. I don't know if he's ever started 2-0. There's no way of knowing. Someone else will have to look that up. But balanced effort from him. Jordan Mason was a good pickup for him. He loses Cooper Kupp though, so we'll see how long this 2-0 start will go for Drunk Santa. Will he sober up? Will he stay drunk? Um, I don't even know what the fuck that means. Cooter's Crew. That takes us to our high score of the week. Uh, Looked like he might have been on pace for a 200-point game, but basically Marvin Harrison Jr. didn't even play in the second half. He got all of his points on the first like 7 plays of the game. Really went off. Kyler Murray, same case. Looked like he was in for a big game, which he did have a big game. All came in the first half. And but the highlight here, Alvin Kamara. Alvin Kamara, 43 points, putting Ditka in a box out of their misery. Last place, 0-2. A lot of 0-2 starts this year. Not a lot of balance to the league thus far. Probably not going to help that Christian McCaffrey starts the season injured as he falls victim to the collusion of the 49ers not revealing McCaffrey was injured prior to the season, even though they knew. So I think Dick in a box could probably take them to small claims court, get his $20. But also Garrett Wilson doesn't seem to be the guy that we all thought he was going to be the last couple of years. Just never, it seems to be able to break out. Patrick Mahomes has not been Mahomes for, 19 games now in the fantasy football world. Not very reliable. Moving on, let's take a look at the standings. We'll just give it a minute. Checking the chat while that loads. No interaction from the chat. I'm going to assume it's working. The chat feature, I don't know how that looks on my end. Or how it's supposed to look, I should say. Because it's just nothing. It's telling me to sign in, but I think that's if I want to type something into the chat. I don't know. I'm just bullshitting my way through this. But looking at the standings, new and improved Jungle Humpers sitting on top. I feel like they've been there before. They've had some strong seasons in their first couple of years in the GLFFL. Will they be able to maintain that with so many touchdown-dependent guys, in my opinion, on their roster? Schmidt Show, Life Finds Elway, Drunk Santa, all 2-0, rounding up the top 4. Cooter's Crew shooting up to number 5, and with that big score of his. High-scoring team thus far, that 170-point week will do that. Patty Cakes is right there in the playoff hunt, something that they haven't been able to say for the last couple of seasons. And then Robo Pearson, Tim Conterrors, Doobie Ashtray, Ditka in a Box, all at 0-2, need to turn their season around. Will they? I don't know. I can't see the future. But I'm going to go on to my oh shit stat of the week. Alvin Kamara's 43 points. Give him his due there. Alvin Kamara's 43 points was the second most points he's ever scored in a half-point PPR format, and was the 9th time of his career in which he scored at least 30. That's pretty crazy. 9 30-point games in his career. He's been a fantasy staple, albeit an up-and-down type of player for the past 7-8 years, however long he's been in the league. But I'm going to go ahead and preview all of the matchups. Last week, I think I might have said I was going to preview all of them, and then didn't. And I apologize to my fans out there for not previewing your matchup. I was just kind of winging it, and I also maybe forgot. So by popular demand, I'm going to preview every game. Let's start with Life Finds Elway. Patty Cakes. Like I said, Patty Cakes sitting right there. It's in 6th place. Made a big move today. Got Mark Andrews from yours truly, filling in a big need for him. He had no tight end, essentially. And he's going to need him this week, I feel like. nothing is, the projections don't mean shit. Drunk Santa loves to focus on those projections, talks about those projections, and every week, what do those projections predict? Nothing. They don't mean shit. But yeah, I'm gonna say Brees Hall's gonna need to bring a big performance for Patty Cakes to compete in this one. I'm not trying to be biased, just pointing out the facts. Cooter's Crew, Drunk Santa. This is another big one. Early playoff implications on this one. Two strong rosters, in my opinion. You have a very volatile quarterback in Anthony Richardson, in my opinion. You saw in week one the ceiling, which he can just go off, and you saw in week two the floor, in which he can just suck ass. But even when he sucks ass, he's probably going to get you 10 points because he runs. And also in this case, I'm going to say two, tight ends that are going to need to perform in order for these teams to compete. That Kincaid has been a big disappointment this year. Isaiah Likely had that one big game. Week two didn't do anything. Which of those tight ends will come through here? I think the advantage is going to go to Cooter's Crew simply because of his running backs. But will Tyreek Hill be able to do anything with a corpse back there slinging it? The backup quarterback, corpse number two. The starting corpse is, of course, Tagovailoa. Then the backup corpse is whoever the hell they're throwing out there at backup quarterback. Will they be able to get the ball to Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle? How will Kamara follow up his big performance? Probably get like 20 targets, I'm sure. Let's go to Ditka in a Box, Robo Pearson, an 0-2 matchup. I think one of two 0-2 matchups, if I'm not mistaken. But this is a big one for both teams. Probably not a great chance to make the playoffs for teams that start 0-3. So yes, we have two 0-2 matchups this week. So big games for those four teams. Ditka in a Box, like I said, injury bug has hit him. He's had some bad luck. Garrett Wilson underperforming. Pat Mahomes underperforming. Starting Justin Fields in his super flex, probably a good floor there, even though he's not a very good quarterback. And not to be outdone, Robo Pearson starting an even worse quarterback in the diddler, Deshaun Watson. So Jalen Hurts and I'm going to say James Conner are going to be the key to the game for Pearson. And going to need someone to do something over on Ditka in a Box's roster. I'm going to say another big game from Josh Jacobs and then Drake London. Can he do something when it's not crunch time? The other 90% of the game. Can he do something? Just do something. Is that too much to ask? Something. Moving on, Doobie Ashtray. Timken Terrors. Guess I should look and see if I have everything framed up. Chat test. Okay, chat is working. The comment of the night, sponsored by FanDuel, is chat test from Item 535. Thanks, Item. Doobie Ashtray. Timken Terrors. Timken Terrors, pretty strong roster, pretty poor start to the season. Sam Laporta has not been the alpha tight end. Really, tight ends across the board have sucked this year. So he's going to need Laporta to step up. His running backs, Pollard is probably a good value. Henry, pretty touchdown dependent, not going to catch the ball a lot. Jamar Chase, I'm going to say Jamar Chase is going to be the key to Timken Terrors. I've thrown him, I don't know how many trade offers for Jamar Chase, and he's turned them all down. Probably the smart thing because he knows he's going to go off at some point as long as he's healthy. Doobie Ashtray, man, without A.J. Brown, things are looking bleak. He's got Pacheco in there right now. I would assume he's going to take him out of there. But, man, he has a lot of guys that need to do something. Caleb Williams has been a disappointment. that Chicago offense just sucks. That interior line, as soon as they snap the ball, the defensive line, they're trying to eat Caleb Williams' lunch. And not a lot of options. Man, I'm sorry, Doobie, but you're going to need to make some moves to turn things around. So I'm giving the advantage to Timken in this case, but you know what? Bigger upsets have happened. I don't know shit. That takes us to the matchup of the week. The only 2-0 undefeated matchup. New and improved Jungle Humpers and the Schmidt Show. Two pretty balanced teams. I'd say the Schmidt Show needs Ayuk to come out of his box. You know, he had that holdout and hasn't done shit up to this point in the season. Need him to step up, especially with Debo out. There's no reason he shouldn't eat this week against the Rams, who were torched by the Cardinals last week. Trey McBride been one of the few solid tight ends this season. I would assume he's going to start Amon-Ra St. Brown and potentially Dak Prescott over Derek Carr and maybe Singletary. But I'm not going to, it's not my team. So I'm not going to make any assumptions. But that's what I would do. And Achan is a big name over there. Oh, yeah, I have my predictions. So I do my matchup of the week, and I do my predictions. And my predictions are Schmidt Show will win if Ayuk and St. Brown finish as top 12 wide receivers. St. Brown's not injured, is he? No, I don't think so. He had a big week last week. And then Jungle Humpers will win if Justin Jefferson plays and Achan gets 20-plus touches. So keys for those two teams, Ayuk and St. Brown, top 12 wide receivers. Jefferson plays, Achan gets 20-plus touches. What if all of those things happen? Then who does the advantage go to? That'll be interesting. But that's it. That's the pre-wind. I think I hit on everything I'm required to hit on by contract. I fulfilled my contract, and then hopefully the rest of the league will free me from my cell, and I can go on with my life.